On the night of February 8, 1855, a suffocating snowstorm buried the English county of Devon, transforming the landscape into an isolated, frozen wasteland. When the villagers woke up the next morning, they discovered an unbroken trail of cloven-hoofed footprints scarring the virgin snow. A single line of tracks meandered across the geography of the entire county, covering anywhere from 40 to 100 miles in a single night. No known animal to travel that distance through a blizzard. To the isolated residents staring down at the snow, there was only one logical conclusion: a supernatural entity had walked among them. The physical path of the tracks defied earthly logic. They marched directly up to 14-foot walls and picked up perfectly on the other side, as if the creature had simply bounded over them without breaking stride. They continued seamlessly across elevated, snow-dusted rooftops. They squeezed straight through narrow 6-inch drain pipes, emerging on the other side completely uninterrupted. And they stalked right up to the thresholds of locked residential doors. A primal terror seized the communities. Panicked villagers bolted their doors, paralyzed by the conviction that Satan himself was actively prowling their quiet streets. In a world where physical evidence appeared to defy natural laws, the villagers turned to the only explanation that could account for such impossible feats. But if we treat the Great Devon Mystery as a modern crime scene, the supernatural explanation falls apart. The primary physical evidence survives through contemporary eyewitness letters and sketches. A side-by-side analysis of these primary sources shows that different observers were actually seeing very different things. Looking at this layout of the historical sketches, the observations directly contradict one another. Some recorded a single file line of tracks roughly 4 inches long. Others drew parallel tracks spaced 6 inches apart, while a different set of witnesses noted distinct claw marks. These structural contradictions indicate there was no single 100-mile trail made by one creature, but multiple different track makers active across the county on the same night. What tied all of these disparate tracks together was an extreme meteorological cycle. That night, Devon experienced a heavy snowfall, immediately followed by a sudden thaw, then freezing rain, and finally a hard frost. This diagram shows how weather warped the evidence. First, an animal leaves a clean impression in fresh snow. A sudden thaw melts the edges. When freezing rain and frost quickly lock it in place, expanding ice warps the track into an unnatural hoof-like depression. The extreme weather served as a physical distortion lens, twisting natural animal evidence into bizarre anomalies. This anatomical reference highlights how stray donkeys step in a nearly perfect single-file line when they walk. Under the freeze-thaw distortion, their horseshoe-shaped prints accounted for many of the standard ground-level tracks. Even during the panic, naturalist Richard Owen challenged the demonic narrative with a scientific alternative. Looking at this sketch of a badger, Owen noted they possess a blended pad structure. Since they actively forage in winter, he concluded their tracks easily appeared bipedal in deep snow. Small rodents contributed as well. Wood mice leap by pushing off with all 4 feet together. When they land in the snow, the resulting 4-paw cluster mimics the shape of a single cloven hoof. Neighborhood cats navigating post-thaw rooftops left the elevated prints, and flocks of birds, forced inland by the freezing temperatures, created the tracks that seemingly leaped over 5 walls and cleared the 2-mile X estuary. Once the initial panic took hold, human opportunists exploited the hysteria. Tracks faked to lead directly to the doors of local churches appeared days later, a prank rooted in the bitter religious disputes between austere Puritans and high church Anglicans. The 100-mile monster was actually a fragmented, overlapping composite of local wildlife and human pranks, all disguised by a brutal weather cycle. Why did the devout locals ignore the wildlife in their own backyard and immediately attribute the tracks to the devil? Take a look at this stone tile. This is the Teufelsschritt, or Devil's Footstep, in a Munich church. Footprints have long been used as material symbols connecting the demonic to the earthly realm, meaning European culture was already primed for this explanation. The Victorians were also influenced by the London folklore of Spring-Heeled Jack, an urban legend about a leaping demon that neatly matched the behavior of the tracks. But the core mechanism is human hardwiring. Our psychology instinctively connects disparate, isolated anomalies, in this case, dozens of weather-distorted animal tracks, into one terrifying, cohesive narrative. This psychological blueprint ensures the legend survives. Global adaptations of the Devil's Footprints have appeared everywhere, from the snows of World War II Belgium to a nearly identical reappearance in North Devon as recently as 2009. The Great Devon Mystery endures as a masterpiece of accidental mythmaking. By combining harsh weather, everyday animals, and human superstition, an entire society successfully breathed life into a monster.